And how bad, I mean, no one says that, you know, the police murder isn't using tech. Hitler used murder too, so did Bruning, you know, so did the U.S. government in killing Martin Luther King. But they are not all the same, and they require different tactics. That's all we're saying. And to study those situations so we can learn from it. It is complex, yes. It is complex. Okay, Debbie, then Debbie.
Well, one thing is but I think certainly it's a given for many of us, but we really, this discussion really has to be kept in the context of the fundamental tenet of Lenin, which is of Marxism, which is dialectical materialism. What is the material conditions at the time in which all of these different things are emerging, all these events are emerging? So, and what we're saying is that you have to look at history, look at the material conditions, then you, while you can certainly say, you know, well, that could be a budding fascism or whatever, what we really want to do is give you the material basis for understanding the forces that are evolving in history, not only in history but are evolving today, so that when we look at them, we really know what it is that we have to, where we have to educate our class, so that they in turn understand what they're dealing with, and that's a very important thing. That's what we're doing. We're educating ourselves so that we can turn around and educate our class, so that when the time comes, they won't be swept up.
Right. Exactly.
By ignorance, in a wave of ignorance,
anti-immigrant,
and become a tool of fascism. This is a fundamental duty we owe to our class, is to educate them and to give them the tools to understand, so that we don't have people turning en masse to a Tea Party kind of nonsense. Like these are crazy people.
Like this one guy.
And we can't, you know, and you're right. You know, you were right to challenge him.
He's a black guy. He was,
yeah,
he would come to me. He went to another.
Well, but you were right to challenge him. You were right to challenge him. What I'm saying is that what we're trying to do is to arm our party and individuals with the ability and the historical facts that will help us to, you know, clear off some of this stuff for our class today. When we're looking, because ultimately we gotta look at what's happening today. I mean, we're here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And draw the lines of what happened to us. I get it. That what happened to us in the past, we don't ever want that to happen again. I would think that some of that is also part of the education. But what I'm saying is that you have to keep it in context of the historical period that you're in, what you're dealing with. But there's no room to draw lines. You take the lessons. No, absolutely, you do that. But you take the lessons. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that fundamentally, we're looking at this history as a way to analyze events of today. Yeah. And that's objectively, from the point of view of a dialectical, Yeah, but some people are on certain degrees in this group. He's been studying this for what, 30, 40 years? Person like me been studying for a couple of years. She may have studied it for maybe never studied it. And so I'm saying that in a discussion like this, it's bound to be information that's going to come up where people are going to ask questions that may not fully, understand what all of that you just said. But I still think it's important that when people draw a line, I believe I live in a fascist city. I believe that. The police is roaming every day. 10 different police departments is roaming Detroit, controlling and repressing us.
Well,
and so
there's no question.
Okay, we're not going to settle that. We can use these words differently.
But I'm using that as an
To you, that's how you feel.
example. But no, it's not how I feel. Wait a minute, Debbie. Just give me a minute
I know.
to finish my thought.
Sorry.
All I'm trying to say is that I came here specifically because the subject was fascism versus communism. Because I think it's important for anybody that considers themselves a revolutionary to understand fascism and to understand communism. How can you do exactly what you guys said unless you get the information from those people who came up with it, Trotsky and Marxist state theory. Is this not a theory?
It's all theories.
This is a theory.
Sure.
So it's not, it's somebody's thoughts on this particular subject after study, research, and all that. I understand that. And a lot of opinion and a lot of history.
Right.
And so it's all of those things. So one clear thing I got out of becoming a revolutionary by being in this group and being in the Detroit Coalition Against Police Brutality for the last couple of years that I've been in is that fascism is repressive and that communism is kind of like more, you're prone to have more freedom as a human being. Now, that's the two givens that I've gotten so far in terms of why it's important to study this to a degree. Now, see, I'm confused again. Now I'm in a confused state because I've worked myself into confusion.
Okay. Let me just say something that I think's important. But you did raise something. We raised that we started off saying that some of the right wing paints with a big brush communism and fascism.
Okay.
We can see that fascism is specifically a mass movement to gather or to ultimately support capitalism in crisis and destroy the poor and working class movement.
Part is ways that they do that.
Yes,
right?
there are ways, but that's what fascism. Communism is the movement of the working class. It's gotten a bad rap, but we're in capitalist America. Of course they're going to give it a bad rap. It made a lot of mistakes, especially under Stalin, no doubt about that, and that helps them brush stroke some of the, make it look bad. But on the other hand, that isn't what communism was. That was a problem with the very earliest stages of communism. Just like slavery was part of the U.S. It isn't the whole story, but it was a big part of the story, but it wasn't inherent in what was the U.S.
And it was going on during that time period.
It was.
It was going on in America the same time, right. Yes.
So, but the point being, again, communism is the ideology for the working class, and that's why when we went out to the Tea Party, which I called pre-fascist, proto-fascist, whiff of fascist, whatever you want to call it, because they're not armed yet in action, we put our slogans out. They had slogans, down with the, some of the saner ones, down with the immigrants. That was some of the saner ones, they were out there, and the racist signs of Obama, and we had, unite, what are our slogans? Rights for immigrants, women's rights to choose, all different, gay rights, health care, real health care, and end to the war. They said, we're for small government. And we said, well, then you support getting rid of the Pentagon. No, we're not. But that's the most of the government is the Pentagon. But we counterpose, all right, Yogi, not to win them over.
Right.
Not to so much win them over. And I know some people did a yeoman's job, arguing with individuals. Maybe we'll win one or two, but that wasn't the point. The unheard from millions need to see there's an alternative to them and an alternative. And that's why we went. To get out the word, and wherever they go and wherever Klan is, we always go to show, because they're appealing for mass movement. The cops can come and kill anybody anytime. They do.
That's a mass movement.
That's true. Well, but it's not the mass movement that they have going, where they're going to try to organize bands to terrorize people.
You don't think the gang squad is a band to terrorize people here in the city?
No, I don't think it's a mass movement. It's a paid force. But it's not a mass movement of the hundreds of thousands
I see.
and millions.
Okay, it was 100,000 people killing other people.